Hello, my name is Robert McCormick. I'm the brand chef for True Food Kitchen. Today we're going to walk through a grilled vegetable demo. So a lot of people are cooking at home these days, and the weather's starting to break, so I thought that grilling some vegetables out on the grill might be a nice way to segue into this. So today we've got some zucchini, yellow squash, eggplant, asparagus, some green onion, mushrooms, some sweet peppers. We got some fresh herbs to kind of marinate in there too. And so we're going to walk through some of the different vegetable cuts we're going to do. We're going to put a little marinade together for all these, and then we're going to put them on the grill. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to get into prepping the veg. So we've got the green onion, green asparagus, zucchini, Japanese eggplant, yellow squash, some sweet peppers, some mushrooms, all real easy to prep. We're going to do big cuts. It's going to go fast. A couple things to keep in mind: sharp knife, clean cutting board, a little receptacle to keep some of your vegetable scraps into. You can use them for compost and whatnot. Then always have just a couple different containers to put all the prep vegetables into. In this case, we've got some different shapes and sizes, so I like to keep everything separate. Even though we are going to marinate them all together at some point, we're going to cook them separately. And I think the way the different sizes are, it's going to be better if you kind of keep them separate and keep it more organized from that point. So let's get started. We're just going to kind of snip off the top there. That's a little bit hard to chew on. And then just kind of roughly like 1 inch sort of pieces here. Don't get too uptight about being too exact. This is pretty rustic cooking. Again, just put that other little end into the scrap, and then you're going to put these into your bowl. And we're going to carry that process through here, these other ones as well. Like same thing with the yellow squash here. Now that the weather's breaking, I mean, there's no better time to start getting down on some vegetables. And actually, we will combine the yellow squash here and the zucchini because they're essentially the same thing, slightly different, but for the purposes of cooking times and whatnot, there's not a huge difference. I love green onions, especially on the grill. So you really just want to nip that butt off, that little root off there, and then any sort of loose scraps or anything, you just want to kind of a nice clean finish. If anything looks a little yellow or wilted on there, just kind of trim it off. You want a nice firm piece there. And why I like these, they're super simple, they're super inexpensive as well. And it's almost like seasoning the food. I char these. You'll see once we get to the grill, I char the hell out of these things. So they're basically black, which isn't always good, but in moderation, I think it can add really some good depth of flavor to an otherwise really simple dish. So we're just going to carry that through, and you can kind of go. You don't have to spend your whole day trimming up onions. You can kind of go do a few at a time. I think also, cooking at home can really be therapeutic. You got a full day. I've got 3 kids and a wife and a dog, a puppy actually. And the days at home can be long if you're still stuck at home. So I think it's a nice way to sort of break up the day, do a little prep midday, get ready for dinner. And by the time dinner comes around, you're actually not in too bad of a shape. Doesn't always work out that way, but it can be helpful to kind of prepare. And a lot of home cooking is like that. It's not just, oh, let's wait till 6 o'clock at night and start the meal. That's when things definitely become frustrating, and you're kind of under the gun because everyone's tired, hungry, and cranky, myself included. But I think it's the preparation part and really staying organized. Right down to where it starts. So if you stay organized with your shopping list even, and then get to the store, shop efficiently, and you know where you're going and you know what you need, I think that can be a huge help. And then even as you're bagging, bag the produce in one thing, the frozen things in one bag, the dairy and so on in the pantry. And that way when you get home, you can sort of quickly organize all of those things. So the asparagus, 1 second here, I just want to grab a peeler. I don't know that we need it often on the pencil asparagus, but you see, so usually we just sort of trim a little bit of this. You can feel that woodiness right there. So what we're going to do is just kind of peel a little bit of this bottom part off. And if you're not sure how much to peel. Just take a bite. And if it feels woody, then peel a little bit more if it doesn't taste good. So we're gonna go a couple inches up here. If you don't want to bother with this, get the really, really thin asparagus, and it's super tender. You just need to be a little more careful when you're actually grilling it, because they grill up really fast and you don't get a lot of char on them either. Okay, then for the sweet peppers, really all we're going to do is sort of snip off some of these little dried stems here. A lot of them you don't even need to do anything with. It's just a matter of personal preference, so we're going to move through those pretty quickly. Then as we move on to the mushrooms, not a lot to do here either. Same thing, if you see some sort of like, just kind of a rough looking stem there, you want to pull that off and just pop that in there. We're going to keep them whole. I think if we grill these, you want to kind of cook them for a little bit, get a nice little color on the outside. No need to rush them. And on top of that, if they get too small, they're going to fall through the grates on the grill. So you want to keep them nice and whole. These, a lot of people put them on little skewers and stuff too. You can do that, but I think for the volume that we're doing today, we don't need to get into any of that. So if you look at all the different vegetables here, we've got, sort of the sweet peppers. We've got earthy mushrooms and onions. We've got the nice savory sort of squash, zucchini, eggplant, asparagus. We'll have some fresh herbs to sort of mix in here for someone like herbaceous sort of floral flavors. And then the vinaigrette we're going to do is lemon oregano vinaigrette. So it's got bright citrusy sort of punch to it, a slight little bit of sweetness in there too. That helps to sort of caramelize some of the vegetables. And that really helps complement all these different flavors and sort of bring them all together. So that's going to be, we're going to put the vinaigrette together. All right, vegetables are prepped. Next move is to make the marinade. So we're going to do what's called the lemon oregano vinaigrette. We use this on a couple different salads at the restaurant. Super versatile. Sort of our version of an Italian vinaigrette. So we've got obviously fresh squeezed lemons, fresh oregano, a little whole grain mustard, some white balsamic. This is just some honey. You can use brown rice syrup. You can use evaporated cane sugar if you wanted to go completely vegan. I like the honey for at home. It just has a little bit more, flavor, a little more depth of flavor and things like that. A little more natural as well. Just some rough chopped onion, some sea salt, and then a little fresh ground black pepper. And what I'm going to use here, we don't use this in the restaurant. We use an expeller press grapeseed oil in the restaurants. I don't have any of that here today, so we're just going to use an avocado oil. And cool thing about this stuff is super healthy fats. So unlike your canola oils or your safflower oils or some of those other nastier fats out there, this is super high in omega-9 fatty acids. So really good for the heart. So nice one to use for not only vinaigrettes and things like this, but also great for cooking as well. So this is kind of like my go-to oil at the house. And then for sea salt, I use, this is a salt, I don't know if you can see it from there or not, but it's from Utah. It's a Redmond real salt. Mine in central Utah. So super full of like natural minerals and things like that too. Really good ingredient too. So those important, pantry ingredients are always great to have at the house too, to sort of improve your level of home cooking and stuff too. So always have a nice olive oil, always have a nice sort of neutral cooking oil like the avocado oil, your salt, fresh ground black pepper, honeys, mustards, things like that. All those nice little pantry items to have. It's going to make your cooking take it to the next level. So also with the lemons, yes, you can buy store-bought lemon juice. I don't recommend it. Sometimes there's some preservatives in there. If you can get the fresh squeezed lemon juice, maybe at Whole Foods or some of those specialty grocery stores, that's great. It's nice and clean. But this, I find, hey, just buy a bag of lemons and grab one of these guys. It takes 5 minutes to slice the lemons, and the flavor is way better, and you don't have any of those preservatives in there either. Since we have them here, and I just figured I'd give you a quick demo. These lemon presses are super cheap, and that's it. Cut them in half, squeeze them. My kids love doing this. They like to make their own lemonade. Tends to be a little messy, but hey, it's a nice little afternoon project for them, keeps them busy. Maybe one day the lemonade stand will actually turn a profit, but until then, it's just a nice sort of project to connect them to the food a little bit more. Another thing that does come in handy, a little tool, a little strainer. You can use this for sauces, gravies. In this case, we're going to get some of the seeds out of our juice. Boom. Okay, let's get started with the vinaigrette. So essentially what we're going to do, everything you see here, you've got lemon juice, the onion, vinegar, oregano, honey, the whole grain mustard, some pepper, some salt. We're going to put all that stuff, all these ingredients right into the bowl here. Boom, boom, a little bit of honey. A little mustard. Put a little pinch of salt now. We can adjust that a little bit later. A little fresh ground black pepper. Let's kind of do a little pre-mix on this guy first. That'll help break up some of those onions, get everything mixed up nice. And then once we have that sort of pre-mix, we can start slowly adding in the oil. This recipe came out perfectly, where I basically just used just about this whole bottle of oil, about 500 milliliters. So didn't have to measure that out. We can go straight out of the bottle. Pours nice and slowly. Basically, the things that are emulsifying here, this oil is emulsifying into the mustard and the vinegar to a certain degree. So you don't want to go all in all at once. You want to just kind of trickle this guy in, nice and easy. See it's starting to come together a little bit. If you see it starting to break, give it a little bit of time to catch up. It's always nice to have this. So this is super versatile sauce, right? It can be used as a marinade like we're doing today, or just keep it in the refrigerator. You can use it for a lunch salad, dipping sauce for crudité. And funny enough, since we did empty out this bottle while we're making this, what I do is just pour the entire marinade, what we don't use for the vegetables, I'll just pour it right back into this bottle and throw that in the refrigerator, so you've got a nice vessel to store it in as well. Kind of repurpose your bottles. Cooking is a lot of times just about being resourceful. You don't always have to get hung up on reading a recipe and sticking to every single speck of every single ingredient and every single measurement. You kind of have to be resourceful and make some different calls on the fly, substitute when you can, and have fun with it. Okay, so you see that guy came together quite nicely. I'm going to put that down for just a second. We're going to give this guy a taste. See a nice sort of creamy texture there. Sticks to your spoon. Might just add one more little pinch of salt there. And off we go. All right. So we've got our marinade made. We've got our vegetables prepped. Now we got to put the two together. So all we're going to do, I've got a nice little tray here with the onions, the asparagus, and the mushrooms. All we're going to do, spoon a little bit of this stuff over here. Just enough to kind of coat everything, give a nice little shine to it. This is not going to be a long process. I think if you gave it 45 minutes to an hour to sort of get everything coated and get the flavors in there. The zucchini and the eggplant and the squash maybe a little bit longer, but these thin guys you can almost go straight to the grill once you've got this. Just marinate on there. So we're just going to kind of move them around a little bit, make sure they're nice and evenly coated. Same thing here. That vinaigrette came together real nice, so it's nice and sticky. Stays on there nicely. One thing you notice, I threw a pair of gloves on here. They come in handy for this sort of thing. I'm actually going to grab one more pair. You can grab them at any sort of CVS, Walgreens. Well, maybe not these days, but typically they're pretty available, and they're nice to have in the kitchen as well. So again, we're just gonna throw a few spoonfuls on here. And even after we grill, we can probably freshen up the whole vegetable mix with a couple more spoonfuls of that. But for now, this should be plenty to get the grill going. So what this does, there's oil in there, obviously, so it helps to sort of conduct the heat and get a nice char and help things from sticking. That teeny tiny bit of honey that we put in there will actually help give us a nice little char in here as well. The acidity from the lemon and the white balsamic will help sort of brighten all these things up, and then the mustard as well gives a little spice, a little seasoning. And so maybe we put just a touch more on there because that eggplant is almost like a sponge. And these will be really good once they sit for about an hour. So we're gonna let these hang out. We're gonna fire up the grill, clean up the kitchen a little bit, and we'll see you out there. So before we go out to grill, I'm actually gonna pop these little tomatoes into the oven too. We didn't do the demo on them. I can explain a little bit later, but we're just gonna use this as a little garnish for our vegetable platter. All right, so we've got our grill nice and hot. We've got our veggies marinated. It's a beautiful day out. We're gonna give this guy a little scrape. Always important to clean the grill before and after every use. One, it's just sanitary, but two, it's gonna help you cook a lot more evenly. Next step is gonna be kind of seasoning the grill real quick. So what I always do is just take a little bit of that oil we used for the marinade and just lightly coat that. And that's gonna help everything from preventing everything from sticking. So that's gonna help out a ton. So let's start with the big guys first. I think maybe the mushrooms. Maybe we'll put those top down and get them going. So I've got this at high heat. This thing's pretty powerful, and it might seem a little excessive at this point, but once I load this thing up, it's probably going to quiet down a little bit. So I think we'll be in good shape. I think the zucchini and eggplant might be second stage. So just love it, man. Look at these, like the purple, the yellow, the green, these bright colors. And the grill, the heat's just gonna kind of make them pop a little bit too. And look, this is a gas grill. Ideally, you have a nice wood-fired grill or charcoal-fired grill that you can use too. That always imparts a great natural sort of mesquite flavor. And we could probably do a demo on that one of these days too. For today, we're sticking with the gas because I think that's what most folks have going on in their backyard. You know, alternatively too, you might be in an apartment, you might not have access to a grill. Just use a heavy duty cast iron grill plate. You get some of this still the same nice charring flavor too. You don't get quite the amount of workspace, but you can still get most of the flavor. We might actually be able to fit most of this stuff on here. Yeah, you want to try to avoid a little bit of that smoking. That's just some of that excess marinade on there. So there you go. This is a thing of beauty here. Let's throw these peppers on here too, because those onions and and asparagus will go fast. So we can just do these. And you know, it's nice to kind of rotate these guys and get the grill marks, get the cross marks, but there's like 50 different items on here, so I don't know that we're going to go through all that today. Let it cook, you know? So you have your full grill here. This is your Instagram worthy shot here. Eat more color is what we say at True Food. If that's not a good example of eat more color, I don't know what is. So for the bowls too, these leftovers, you still have some marinated in there. Don't waste that. You can actually put a lot of these stuff right back in there after we're done cooking. So let's shut this down for a minute, let these guys cook, and we'll come back. Okay, let's take a look at these guys. Could probably start. Oh yeah, that looks great. So particularly with these mushroom caps, you're gonna get a little smoking because there's probably some marinade stuck right underneath those caps. It's gonna drip down, but that's okay. We got some nice marks on there. These guys look great. You probably know your grill better than anybody, but you're probably gonna have some hot spots here and there. You might need to rotate some things. So you see, it's not that hard. Just kind of go step by step, make sure the grill's hot. Your veggies are cut nice. You got a nice even marinade on everything. About halfway there. So it's just like a piece of meat. I mean, these things will carry over, cook a little bit. So once they start getting soft, you can yank them right off of there. The great thing about these too, you don't necessarily need to serve them piping hot. It's almost like an antipasti, right? You kind of get these guys off, get the nice flavor on them, and they can be just kind of served room temp after this. Nice glass of rosé. Nice sunny afternoon on the weekend. I think another good thing to note is just give yourself time. If you're trying to rush through some of this stuff, you're gonna end up getting frustrated, making mistakes, overcooking, undercooking. Give yourself some time. Enjoy it. Have a drink while you're cooking. Call some friends. And you know, you can cook these to whatever doneness you want. These guys have a nice little blister on there. So if you want to look at this as more like a kind of a grilled crudité almost, you can just leave a little bite on them. They don't have to be complete mush. Okay, so while we've got half of our grill cleared off, we can finish it up with the onions and the asparagus. Again, we'll just brush a little oil on there, clean things up a little. So again, these guys go pretty fast. The onions are pretty resilient. And you want to get a nice char on them, so we're going to put those in the back. The asparagus we're going to put in the front because it goes pretty fast. It's probably going to come off first. So always sort of think about that when you're loading the grill up. Particularly with proteins, you don't really want to be crossing over a lot of different things. Looks like we can start pulling some of these guys off. Oh yeah. So you got a nice char on the outside. A little bit of a bite in the inside. And then by the time we get these to the table, they're going to be just right. All right, one quick step before we go plate everything up. I've got the onions and the asparagus here. We're just going to cut these down a bit, maybe like 1.5 inch, 2 inch slight bias. So they're a little bit more bite size. Don't get too worried about the exact length. They just need to be easy to eat. Okay, we're getting close to the finish here. We got everything done. We've got everything grilled. Things are kind of cooled down, so they're easy to handle now. This is the stage where if you do want to make everything hot, you know, to serve for a party or for your dinner or whatever, now's a good time to do it. Throw a sheet pan, a little foil on the bottom of the sheet pan, pop this guy into the oven for a few minutes, and just reheat everything to make it hot again. Everything is already fully cooked. You may want to sort of re-season just a touch here. If you tasted everything after it came off the grill, you might want to get a little bit more salt and pepper on there. But I think otherwise we're good to go. Everything is cut to size. So let's grab a plate and put it together. Don't really need to go in any sort of order or fashion. Really, we just want to mix up some different colors. Make sure everything is sort of evenly mixed around, and we'll go from there. So we've got the most peppers, so maybe we start with some of that stuff. Scatter these guys around. Some eggplant. These charred green onions just give a nice little seasoning in there. They don't look so pretty, but they taste really good. Can add in a little bit of this asparagus too. So you see there's a lot of different shapes here. We got, you know, some circles, the long green asparagus. That's what I like. I mean, I think when people look at food, they just want to see a little bit of variety. You know, this is super simple, but you know, there's a half dozen different varieties of vegetables in here. And super fresh, super healthy, actually very satisfying and filling. Inexpensive. I think all this produce, even that it was organic, was all under $30. You can feed a boatload of people with it. And then once you get this guy plated up, if you didn't want to heat this up, if you don't want to use it right away, you can put this whole casserole right back into the refrigerator until you're ready for your dinner or your party, even a day ahead of time. And you'll be in great shape. Just heat it back up, slow and low, maybe 300 degrees for about 45 minutes, just to kind of heat everything through. You know, if you really want to get fun with this, just kind of save some of the really nice pieces, colorful pieces for the end here, like this nice piece of purple eggplant, kind of brightens things up. I love these grill marks on the mushrooms. You know what I forgot? Let's chuck in those tomatoes. Oh, they look pretty good. Okay. So maybe we get a smaller spoon for these guys. So again, we didn't really go over this earlier, but slow cook these guys. The little garlic and a little olive oil. And they're just a nice sort of fresh way to brighten this thing up a little bit. And then we've got a little oregano left from the vinaigrette, so we can pop a little bit of that on. Other little toppings, you know, I always have some pickles in the refrigerator, pickled vegetables. So there's some pickled onions here. Again, give a nice bright sort of pop throughout while you're biting into this stuff. You get a lot of earthiness from all the savory vegetables, so these onions will give a little acidity and stuff to everything. And then last but not least, I always like to put a little extra virgin olive oil on just about everything I eat. This is no exception. So we'll just drizzle a little bit of that guy. And that's it. So grilled vegetables, lemon oregano dressing, and some confit tomato. Bring this to your next dinner party, and you'll be the star of the show. All right, and that's a wrap. So we've got our grilled vegetables with lemon oregano marinade. We added some pickled onions, some confit tomato to sort of elevate things a little bit. But otherwise, we are complete. Again, my name is Robert McCormick. I'm the brand chef from True Food Kitchen. If there's any other recipes you'd like to see, please let us know in the comments below. Or if you'd like a detailed recipe of this dish here, please again write us in the comments below and we'll send one your way. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.